state of mind. It's relaxing. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Hi everyone, welcome to White Swan by Shalini. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about BodyTalk and MindScape. We're going to learn the hidden secrets of how our body works and the signals that it gives out that we are not even aware of. It's going to help us understand how to unlock the potential of our body and our mind. And for that, I have a very special guest with me today. She has been a BodyTalk and MindScape practitioner and instructor from past 15 years and healed a lot of people around us. She has gone through some very difficult phase in her life, but despite all the hardships, she's not only managed to overcome these obstacles, but also managed to outshine and inspire others through her journey. So without further ado, let's welcome Sufen Paphassarang. Thank you for being here, Sufen.
Thank you, Shalini. And you pronounce my name perfectly well.
I practice quite a lot of times. But thank you so much for being here. How has your day been like today?
It's been good. It's been busy, but yeah, it's been good.
Thank you for taking out that time for us.
No, thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
It's great to have you here. So, Sufen, tell us, what is BodyTalk and MindScape all about?
So BodyTalk and MindScape, they work together, but I'm just going to share with you in a nutshell what it is.
Yes.
So we're always looking at the body, whether there is a pain, symptom, and illness or disease. That's all coming from what's going on in the mind. So if we are thinking of something or something's bothering us, or if we are ruminating about a problem over and over again, that mind state will infiltrate into the physical body and show as a symptom. So body talk, as the name calls it, the body wants to talk and wants to speak of what's going on in the mind. So from looking at all the health issues, I can understand what's going on in a person's life, in the mind, what they're thinking and how they're thinking about it. So that is, in a nutshell, what body talk is. So when people come to me for a session, what are they actually looking for? They're not looking to heal the body. Yes. In terms of, oh, I have a sore throat, I have a flu, I've got cancer. It's not about that, but rather what has caused this health issue to come up. And we can address health issues through the mind. So when we look at mind-body connection, we're looking at what's going on in the mind. How is it reflected in the body? How can we then change the mind in order for the body to heal? And in that way of looking at health, we can improve our lives in many different ways. Number one, the physical body actually will improve. It will get healthy. Number two, our mental and emotional state of mind can balance so we can feel free, happy, calm, and have a state of confidence that we find that life is easy. And so with all that, when we go into what I call looking at what is in our environment, our relationships, our lives, our work, our families and friends, our children,
Yes.
When we harmonize all those aspects of our environment, our health naturally improves.
So what inspired you to be a MindScape and BodyTalk practitioner? And how has it impacted your life and health through this?
So for many people who've read my bio, I am actually an insurance trained underwriter and insurance broker. So I come from a very corporate background.
Right.
So everything about numbers excites and interests me, and very logical, very rational. And when I fell sick with hyperthyroidism, it's an autoimmune disease called Graves. This illness was something I never heard of before, and when I was diagnosed with it, my prognosis was to have have my thyroid radiated and removed, or a lifelong consumption of drugs. And at that point in time, I was very young, and I didn't think that I was ready for that, for all that. And at that point of time, I was at the lowest point of my life. Mm. My son passed away very, very suddenly, and I was in a lot of grief, a lot of pain. And therefore, when I was diagnosed with a very sudden, for me, it was mysterious health issue, I was at a point of time in my life whereby I just thought I wanted to die because it was so difficult. And that brought me to what I call look for alternatives of how to heal myself, because my heart rate was going at 100 beats per minute at rest, at sleep. And if I woke up to walk to the bathroom, it goes up to 120. And if I do the laundry or cook or look after the kids, it goes up to 180. And then if I get angry, it's 220. So I was perpetually running a marathon, and I lost so much weight. I was down to 33 kilograms.
Oh my God.
So when my friends saw me and they said, "Oh, you look really horrible," I said to them, "I don't know what I can do with this." And they booked me in for a BodyTalk session. And at that session, it was, for me, was the way they describe it to me, it could not register with my logical mind because, I come from a very rational background, and they said this to me. Oh, she's just going to listen to you, the body, using, just by holding your arm. And after that, she'll tell you what has gone on in your life, what your body wants to do, and how it wants to heal. And for me, it sounds really ridiculous. But with an open mind and being really desperate at the ends bit of my life, I decided, okay, let's try it. Okay, because so many of them went for BodyTalk and they swore by it. And so I went there, wrote down my name, my telephone number, and my diagnosis, and that's all the few words, less than 5 words, and I put down the intake form. And in the first session, she would listen by putting one arm on my abdomen, and then one hand holding my arm. And then she would move my arm, and that's the way they do the neuromuscular biofeedback muscle checking. So communicating with the body, getting the body to respond a yes and no. And after that, asking a series of questions through the BodyTalk protocol, getting a story of what's actually going on in the body and in the mind that's causing this imbalance in health. So I went through it, and I just thought, okay, I just lay there and I'll just wait and see what happens. And the BodyTalk formula she got from my innate wisdom was very, very clear, yet very short and profound. Literally, the body wanted to do very, very simple things. Number one, where the heart was pumping so much blood to the thyroid, it was causing the thyroid to go into overdrive and hyperactivity. And what the body wanted to do in the repair strategy was just to reduce blood supply to the thyroid. And there is an emotion that is causing this flow of blood, rushing to the thyroid, and the emotion was grief, and there was also anger, and it was coming out from one of my children. So I didn't tell her anything about my life. I just gave her 5 words: my name, my number, and my diagnosis. And this was what the formula came up to. And in the BodyTalk formula, what that actually means is the innate wisdom knows that there is an emotional grief and anger. It knows what that grief and anger is directed at, which was my son that passed away. I didn't have to tell her anything about my life. We call this content-free. But she's able to, from the body, understand what's going on. And even though the session is very simple, what that does to the body is this: the high consciousness of the body knows what has happened in life. We don't have to relive the story. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to traumatize the person over again and again about their trauma. But when the body talks very quietly through a different way, it is about the innate wisdom understanding this has happened. What are we going to do about it? We're going to let go of the emotions of that grief and anger and allow what we call the circulation of blood from the heart to the thyroid to be reduced so that the thyroid can normalize again. So something very simple, but yet very profound. And 2 weeks after my first BodyTalk session, I went to see my endocrinologist because I refused all drugs and he thought I was going to die. So I had very close appointments with him to monitor my heart rate and everything. And he listened to my thyroid with the stethoscope. Every appointment I go, he will listen to the thyroid. Because for people with hyperthyroidism, the blood rushing to the thyroid is very apparent. You can hear it. It's
Really?
like it's just generating so much energy to the thyroid. And when he put his stethoscope on my thyroid, he was listening to it, and he was there for a very long time with a very strange look, like.
How is this happening?
And I got worried. I thought, is it something wrong? Am I going to die? And I asked him, doctor, is everything okay? And then he went back to his notes and he flipped the papers. And then he listened again. And then he flipped through his papers and said, when you came a month ago, and that was the first time he saw me, he said, when you came a month ago, there was this sound of blood rushing to the thyroid, and I recorded it down. However, when I tried to hear it, I can't hear it. I can't find that sound. Then I said, so doctor, what does that mean? And he said, it means that your thyroid is improving. What have you been doing? I refused to say anything. I just said, I'm having some tea, drinking some herbs, and just trying to find everything logical and mainstream to keep him quiet. However, with that validation that actually BodyTalk did something to my thyroid, I decided to continue BodyTalk sessions. So I had 2 sessions a month, and within 6 months, all the symptoms disappeared. A total of 9 months from start to end, all the autoimmune markers reversed, all went down to 0. And until today, I think it's been 15 years that I have been in remission. It's never come back again. So it's one of those things whereby when in BodyTalk, we have this thing whereby when the state of mind vibrates in that energy of a thinking pattern or a feeling of how life is, if it is difficult, challenging, depressive, creates a lot of ill feelings inside. When that vibration vibrates, it will turn on an illness. But when that vibration changes and we vibrate differently, it will eliminate a lot of things that we don't need in the body.
Right. So it's amazing to know that with such little diagnosis, one could know that you're going through some grief or anger, and that could turn out to be a life healing process for you.
Yeah, it was.
But a lot of people don't believe in this kind of healing process. Like we have so many healing processes that is coming down from centuries, like color therapy, sound therapy, and Reiki, and a lot of other processes. But people have some kind of disassociation regarding these processes, and they prefer medicine over these practices. So how can we, let them know about this healing process and change their mind about these healing processes, that it can help them and they do not have to take these lifelong, drugs that they've been given?
So I believe in Western medicine, and I believe in the philosophy of drug surgery. They all have important role in society and life. When people say to me they want to come for BodyTalk because they don't want to take drugs, I must first ascertain where that belief is coming from. So the moment we think that drugs are bad, it's very difficult to also have other modalities that will work for them because there is an imbalance and a prejudice against Western medicine. So Western medicine is made for good and made for good purpose. So when we believe that everything is good, it will work well for us. However, Western medicine addresses the symptoms, which is fine. If you have a headache, I'm going to tell you, please take Panadol and get on with your life. And then, when you have time to address the stresses of life and why you get recurrent headaches, we can use it through, the color therapy, BodyTalk, Reiki, whatever there is out there. So when people want to come for, we call it complementary or alternative therapies like BodyTalk, it is very much intangible. You can't see it. So when we look at what medicine does, it has data. It has what I call research, whether research on animals, research on humans, there is data. And because of the data, there is what I call, it is very tangible. You can look at it, you eat the medicine, you believe that it will work. With all other healing modalities that are energetic in nature, that means they are invisible. Anything invisible is more difficult to qualify and believe. You have to experience it, or you have to believe in a very different setup of life of the whole energetic world, what I call regenerate energy in the body. The body is essentially an electrical circuit. That's what we are. So therefore, what energy means is, do we have enough power to drive the body into, walking, running, exercising, breathing, even eating requires, digestion requires energy. So, in the Asian culture, the Eastern medicine philosophies like Ayurveda,
Right.
which comes from the Vedantic philosophies and traditional Chinese medicine, these two we call it the Eastern medicine philosophies are the foundation of BodyTalk, because we are driven by the energetic body. So all our studies are coming from Chinese medicine and the Vedanta philosophies. So when we say what's consciousness, that by itself comes from the Vedic philosophy of the 5 levels of consciousness, and whether from conscious to the superconscious, where are you in your life, and what drives what we call health comes from the studies of the Vedic philosophy. The word that is used to heal the body is called balance. What does balance mean? It means that we have to be able to operate in 2 sides of the spectrum that comes and forms on the same plane. And balance means that if you are balanced, that means both polarities come on the same level. But if you are adamant that, alternative energy medicine is the only way to go, and we are really heavy on that, we will suffer a lot of health issues that require medicine. So when parents say, I want to bring my child in because I want them to have a drug-free life,
Right.
I can totally understand that. But we have to be able to say we can give them the drugs when it calls for it. We can give the antibiotics. And when we are okay with that, the antibiotics will work and the alternative treatments will work very well because the person is in balance of the prejudices.
Right.
Yeah.
So there has to be a balance between both.
There has to be a balance between thinking and between everything out there. The child will take the antibiotics because, they are prescribed it.
Right.
The mom gives it reluctantly.
Yes.
The symptoms will show up with the side effect because of the psychology behind it, not because of the drug.
Is it? Oh, so everything is connected to energy and psychology behind
Yes,
what we are thinking about the medicine?
because energy is your thinking patterns. What are you thinking, your beliefs? I believe that antibiotics works well. I give it to
Right.
my child. They take the antibiotics
And they
within 24 hours.
They're good to go. Yeah.
The flu goes away.
Right.
The what we call the infection, bacterial infection goes away. That's where we know that the drugs works well. Within 24 hours to see a change. But the change can only be seen only when we administer the medication with the balanced belief, and it applies with all drugs, all the way onto what I call chemo. So when I see a lot of people undergoing chemotherapy or they got cancer and all that, when they come for a session, I'm not going to say to them, you cannot take the chemo, it's bad for you, it's going to do all these things. Of course, there are other issues that can work very well with BodyTalk without drugs. For example, if a person has gone through all the MRI scans, PET scans, X-rays, everything, and then there's nothing physically wrong with them, but it's not operating, for example, digestion, very, very common. So a person can feel that when they eat, they got tummy ache, they're bloated, they got diarrhea or constipation. And they go through all the scopes and nothing is wrong with it physically. And there's no more drugs that can be prescribed to fix it because it's not a physical problem anymore, but the client can still feel the pain. In such cases, it is what I call mental and emotional.
So is it that everyone who has diabetes or anyone who has a chronic disease are actually going through the same mindset or the same kind of thinking in their head?
Kind of. So we call this consciousness. What is the collective consciousness of someone with diabetes? So when we look at diabetes, what it actually means, and what's common is type 2 diabetes. That means the pancreas just decides that, I'm not going to create more insulin to digest food. So when we talk about food that the pancreas has to digest, as all your carbohydrates, sugar, all the sweetness. So we look at the food coming in this category. They are called the sweetness of life. You eat a cake and you feel happy, eat chocolate and it's good. And we should be able to eat all that, digest it, and have no problems.
No problem, yes.
However, when a person has a belief, and this belief is very common, especially in Asia, because we come from this culture whereby we are taught by parents that we don't deserve the good things in life. We don't deserve to receive, or we don't deserve the sweetness of life. And therefore, when we go through life thinking, life is supposed to be suffering, it's supposed to be painful and challenging, it will unconsciously seep into the mind, and the organ that is responsible for what I call absorbing, digesting, and appreciating the sweetness in life decides, I should not digest all that sugar because it's not good for me. So there's a subconscious rejection. And then when the rejection happens, the pancreas decides, okay, we're going to just cut short a bit of insulin, and then it gets shorter and shorter. And after that, it shows up as diabetes.
This happens a lot with our kids. Like when we are giving them sugar, back of my mind, I'm thinking, I should not give him sugar. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. But every day, my son will ask me for sugar. Any form of sugar, let's say chocolates, ice cream, anything. He wants that every day. So does that really affect him also? Because I am thinking that it's not good for him.
It does. However, let's be really honest, we have a physical body, so moderation and reduction of sugar is better for us. However, when children are, we're born in this environment, junk food is like,
very easily accessible to them.
Yeah. I'm just going to share you what I do with my kids. Because when we look at sugar, breast milk is sweet. They're born with naturally wanting sweet things.
Yes.
And so genetically, they are made that way, to crave sugar, to crave sweetness. In our Asian culture, we eat rice and noodles, all starch-based, it's sugar. We reward by giving an ice cream or biscuit, and some of the biscuits sweet, or cookie, or chocolate chip cookie, and all that. What do we do with children to ensure that they are healthy and they live in a moderate diet and balanced life is this: not putting too much emphasis on food, to look at all food as they are good. So when my children were into this phase, they love McDonald's, I brought them every day.
Oh, so they don't think it as a reward, then they think it's a normal thing.
It's like it becomes an everyday life. So I got 3 kids, so I said, okay, you want French fries, we buy French fries. Every day I drive through, I buy 1 small packet of French fries, I feed it to them, and they eat, because 1 small packet is divided by 3 kids. You have a bit. So I always believe in giving the poison bit by bit until they don't want it anymore. So that's just one strategy. And so I believe in giving, but in a very small dose until they don't want it anymore. That means the desire is gone. And if you deprive them, they'll go for a birthday party, they'll hog around the birthday cake. And there are some children you see at the birthday party. They won't play with the rest of the children, but they'll be at the
cake cutting
food table. And especially if the parents have dropped them off, they just there eating their hearts out, because they know that when mom comes, picks me up, I cannot eat that anymore. I don't know when's my next birthday party. So we don't want that. That's called an imbalance. But when we call what's moderation, having a neutral belief about that food product will create that balance.
So does BodyTalk also talk about that?
Like we work on addictions, we work on sugar cravings, we work on everything. So when you talk about diet, you can't lose weight if you're always craving sugar. So in BodyTalk, we go back to looking at what the client is craving for.
Okay.
And we can trace it back to the childhood of what has happened that makes them think, and the brain connection with trauma and emotion and the food.
Right.
Okay, for example. So whenever a child is, did well in the exams, the mom would buy an ice cream.
Right.
Okay? But that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the brain associates an ice cream as I did well. So it's good. So whenever they eat an ice cream, they feel confident.
Right.
So that's a good result from from eating an ice cream. So the same way, if a child goes through a lot of trauma, they are bad. They are when they were rude. They were not good children. They didn't listen. Didn't obey, and then they didn't have dinner. But instead, mom would give just one biscuit.
Right.
Okay, so the mind in that traumatic state of punishment will associate that biscuit as, when I eat the biscuit, that means I did something wrong. So what happens is the mind goes into that format. So when the child develops allergens to the biscuit, which is maybe flour, eggs, milk, these are the common allergens in children, and it can move on to adult life. So whenever the child that is now an adult goes through life whereby maybe they didn't do well enough, they were scolded by their wives, they are fired by their bosses, and all these things comes in, they can eat a biscuit and they can have a reaction to it.
So the emotion attached to that biscuit is coming again and again.
Yes. So every time they eat the biscuit, they are reinforcing that belief: I'm not good enough, I'm bad, I did not do well, I disobeyed my parents, I didn't live up to expectations. So food is represented in the body as a belief, a thinking pattern, and a memory of a past event.
So how can we as parents apply that? Like, how can Body Talk help us as parents to apply that in our daily lives with our kids?
It is what we call, BodyTalk is a healthcare system, but actually it is way of life. So we follow the Vedantic philosophies of, the energy, body, life, and how to look at things in a very neutral aspect. And once we understand the illnesses, the sickness, so what we study in Body Talk is all the pathologies.
Okay.
And with those pathologies, how it then reflects with the mind, how the thinking pattern has to be in a certain way in order for an illness to turn on.
Okay.
So when we understand the mind level, we understand thinking patterns and the beliefs, and all that creates the energetic body. We then understand how we should live life for ourselves and people around us.
Very true. So, but I think isn't it very difficult to communicate with kids about this? Like when kids come up to you and then you have to take things out from them, their emotions, understand how they are affected. Doesn't that get very tough to understand?
Children's emotion?
Right.
When it's your child, it's very hard. Because as a parent, you're emotionally attached to how they feel, and you don't want them to suffer, you don't want them to feel bad, you don't want them to go into trauma. That by itself is an imbalanced thinking. Okay, I believe that trauma is good for the children. I believe in suffering.
Really?
I do. I instill a small dose of trauma every time to control them in some way. Not the best thing to do, but that's me. Yeah.
But could you elaborate on that? Like, I would really like to understand how would that help?
So when we look at
because it's a very new thinking for me.
yeah, so I was looking at, okay, what's the polarity? What's the duality? So we always try to make our children happy. You want to bring them joy. You want them to have a great life. We don't want them to suffer. So
Not
this
at all.
is the one part of the spectrum. The opposite is trauma and suffering.
Right.
So my son, when he was about 5 years old, he came into this phase of disobedience. I would say to him, we'll be at the mall and I'm going to the supermarket. And I would say, come with me to the supermarket. And he would say, no, I don't want to go. And my philosophy of parenting is this: I will never say no, but I will say no in a different way. Okay. Like they asked me, can I have an ice cream? I would say, yes, after dinner.
Okay.
So I didn't say no, but it's not now. And so when he said, I don't want to go with you to the supermarket, I said, okay, I'm going to the supermarket because I've got to buy food to make dinner. And I walked to the supermarket and I didn't realize he didn't follow me. And I could turn around, look for him and drag him to the supermarket with me, but I didn't. I decided I would just go to the supermarket and buy my groceries because I think at that time he was 5 or 6 years old. We go to the same place all the time. he would be able to find my car. He would be able to know where to find me at the supermarket. And so I left it. I trusted that he knows how to find me. I trusted that he's going to be safe, intelligent enough, and trustable. I did my grocery shopping finish, and I realized he was nowhere to be found. So never mind. I thought maybe I'd see him in the car. He didn't show up there. I put my grocery, I decided, okay, let me now search for him. And I found him with some security uncle, and they were like trying to like keep him safe while mommy was doing her whatever thing. And then when I realized that, oh, he's safe, I wanted to actually leave. Like, let him suffer a little bit longer. It was like 15 minutes that he was without me. It's very long for a child. It literally traumatized him. I wanted to like turn my back and maybe go somewhere to hide. And then the shop auntie said, oh, the mom is here. And
Oh
I said,
my God.
I had turned around and said, oh, baby, I've been looking for you the whole time. I had to pretend that I was looking for him. I couldn't find him, but it wasn't that I was shopping.
Oh my God.
When I picked him up, I said, oh, baby, where were you? I couldn't find you. And then he was like, oh, what a relief, mom is here. So he never, ever, ever again, because he's threatened me so many times, he would just run off on his own.
Yes, they do that.
And after that, he never did it.
Oh, wow.
So after that, I had to do a lot of body talk to kind of like disassociate the emotion with that active memory. So we go through life suffering. Suffering is not bad. We learn from it and we become better people. I mean, he's become a controlled kid for my own interest. Not really that good, but it's just that's why I say it's not recommended.
Yes.
Parents out there, not recommended unless it's a controlled, safe environment.
Yes. Sufen, we stay around our loved ones every time and we understand their body language very well as to how they're feeling. Even if they don't talk about it, we know they're sad or angry or maybe very happy about certain things. But how does MindScape here play the part in making it a better way to understand their emotions or their body language?
So BodyTalk is a healthcare system, but we use intuition to scan and read the body. Okay. And intuition is learned through this class I teach called MindScape. So verbal communication, only 30%.
Right. Only 30%? 70% is non-verbal.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
Viewers watching us, everything that we're talking about, 30%, our body language, our, what are we thinking about you and all that, is 70%.
Wow.
Okay. So children, when they go through difficulties in life, they don't have the vocabulary to express it.
Right.
And there are some children with special needs, they may be not able to talk. But as parents, we have this thing called maternal instincts,
Right.
especially mothers. Fathers have, but maybe a little bit lesser. But the maternal instincts are created. It's an inborn thing because when a baby is born, they don't talk. But a mother instantly knows that the baby needs to be fed, a diaper change, feeling uncomfortable, too hot, too cold. The mother knows. So that's intuition. So intuition can be what you call communicated in many different ways, not just mother and child, but employee to employer, any kind of relationships, husband, wife, lovers, and all that. When we say verbal communication and non-verbal communication, when we look at the person, we should be able to sense the cues of what's going on with this person. So lie detector test, we have an internal lie detector test to the point whereby we ask, how are you today? How do you do for math? Okay. Is it really okay? Or do you sense that it's different?
Of course.
So I'll always say that with parent-child, the instincts and the felt sense is the strongest. Always trust it. It never fails. If you sense that something is wrong, it's most likely wrong. You sense there's more to it, there is definitely more. So to answer your question, how can we actually, go into understanding our children better? So MindScape is a class that I teach for everyone who wants to understand how can we derive information, communicate with someone. So the course is very interesting. 1.5 days, the first 1.5 days, we exercise all the 5 senses. Okay, the energetic senses, that means the seeing with your eyes closed, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. It's just a drilling of how we actually use our 5 senses. We don't use it very much, but in the class, we make you, experience different senses.
Very hard to believe that we don't use it much.
We don't. And after that, how we know that your intuition and how the information comes to you. Okay, the last half day, so the class is 2 days, 1.5 days is just experiencing it. The last half day, given a telephone number, a name of someone you never met before, you have to use your senses to describe how this person looks like. So how tall they are, how big, how small, what color hair. You have to describe them, okay, with everything that you feel into this energy field of this person, because we're all made of energy.
Right.
Your energy, I'm energy. Your thought patterns, at this distance, I can feel what's going on. If I tune in, now it's turned off because I'm focused on getting this podcast going successfully for you. So when we tune into a person, we connect with a person, we call this quantum entanglement. So we entangle in the energy field. So I can feel a lot of things about you. And therefore, I would be able to describe how you look like physically, what you're thinking about, how you're feeling, or what's around you that actually affects you. So there is a class like that, and I teach it. Yeah. And what a lot of people realize is they have all this information all around them. They just didn't know that it's always constantly speaking to them. And if you tap into that ability, you can understand so much about the world. And our children. So whenever I fight with my kids because I instill suffering on them and they're angry with me, I will go into MindScape and I'll repair the relationship in MindScape. Because there are some things I can't do it, in person. Even if I wanted to say to them, if they're teenagers especially, I say, I like to talk to you about this, it's not right to do that, we shouldn't, And it's not very easy for them to receive it. And the more you keep saying, the more they're going to go in the direction of doing it.
Right. So, many times, Sufen, this happens to me. I'm not very good at taking compliments. I think that if I can do it, anyone can do it. So I feel that I don't credit myself of my achievements sometimes. How can I reverse that psychology, or how can I reverse that thinking of mine?
That's why I said this is a very Asian culture. You never grow up in a family. Not like we are not like the Americans where they compliment the children all the time. You did a great job. Even they got 5 out of 100 for math. They say, great job, good effort, 5 upon 100. In our culture we can get 98%. You're still 2% not good enough.
Very true.
So it's a very different setup. And how can we change that mindset? Once you understand that it's there, you make little steps every day to be grateful and acknowledge the the accomplishments we have done. It is a habit we have to try to cultivate each and every day to do that. That means
How can one get out of this? Because I feel I also go through the same thing. I give small challenges to myself. If I achieve it, good enough. Or else, okay, I'll see what to do.
When you achieve it, do you really embrace it when you achieve it? Or you still go into it was easy.
It was easy, yeah.
So how can we accomplish it? The same principle I apply with children, we apply with adults. So tracking the milestone. So when you say, let's take, for example, your podcast. Okay? You want season 1, 2, and 3. So in season 1, how many do you want? Maybe you want 12 episodes, okay? So season 1 is your one milestone of your achievement. So if you can accomplish 12 episodes, wow.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment. And every episode is a milestone that moving nearer and nearer and nearer to the end of season 1, which means nearer to season 2 and 3. So it's very much to put tangibles in front of you where you can see, you can measure, because the mind is very hooked on the tangibilities, where you can see it by number, money, and outcome.
I want to touch on one thing. You said you lost one of your child, but how does MindScape help in grieving for the death? Like, how does that help?
So grief is about the future, not about the past. So when we have a miscarriage or a person goes through a miscarriage, we are grieving about the day this baby could have been born. When this baby is 1 year old, 10 years old, 30 years old. As a mother, the grief is about the future potential that has been lost. So when we go into grieving, a lot of times we grieve what's lost. So when we go into MindScape, we can create the environment in the mind of spending time with that person we have lost and what life could have been if that person was still there. So MindScape, we can scan a person to know what they are like and all that, who they are. In MindScape, when I was going through the grieving process, I would call out my son to spend time with him. The things that, when I was a very busy mom, I didn't have time for. And as the years went by, I was wondering how old he would be, what he looked like, what will be. I would allow that the consciousness to come through, and then, it's for time spent with him, to just for curiosity as well, for healing. And when we do this more and more, the separation gets smaller and smaller, to the point, he passed away like maybe 15 years ago. That's why I've been BodyTalk for about 15 years. Do I miss him? Yes, I do. Do I feel sad when I think about the incident? No, because the entire emotional content to the memory of him has been disassociated. But I can think of him and the wonderful life I spent with him in the last 2.5 years of his life as what I call a learning experience. There's a lot of wisdom I got from it. There's, the food that I made that I remember, and all the things that is what I call his favorite things that I remember, and I remember it with a smile. If you ask me 15 years ago when this happened, it was painful.
Could you tell us any of your successful stories or transformation that you've seen in your clients?
So this client of mine, she had one child already. She was trying for a second one. And unfortunately, the second pregnancy ended up in an ectopic pregnancy when she was abroad. And in the hospital, they had to cut off her fallopian tube. So when she came out of hospital, she was in a state of shock and worry. You have only one tube. How you can get pregnant? You still can get pregnant, but in the mind, you're always thinking it's not good enough, right? So what happened? She tried to get pregnant. She couldn't get pregnant, and she came for a session. So when looking at the body, we scan the body in MindScape, and we can see one healthy tube and one, kind of like a tube that's scarred. So they cut the section and put it back. So with that, we always ask the body what it wants to do, what's the repair strategy. And the body said to repair the damaged tube. So instead of creating fertility through the tube that was healthy, it was not interested in that. It wanted to repair the damaged tube. Then, in my logical mind, because I'm very, very logical, very, very rational, I'm like, why can't you just get pregnant with the one that's already working? Right. Why do you have to make it so difficult to repair the other one? I never understood it, but I did what the body told it to do. So our repair strategies for BodyTalk, there are many, but for this particular one, it's literally a scar tissue repair plus hydration. That means we hydrate the tissue so that it can plump up. The body's able to put in a lot of, the blood, nerve, lymph, or the meridian, the energies into that fallopian tube. Heal it, turn it around, whatever it is. Because we can't see it. We don't know how it repairs. But that was the priority for the session. She got pregnant very quickly after that.
Wow.
And then when she went to the gynae to scan, the gynae said, oh, you got pregnant pregnant from the ovary that that ovulated was at the section where the tube was damaged.
Oh.
So what happened was we thought, the doctor said, maybe it's just a coincidence. But she had 2 more pregnancies after that.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
2 more. So she had, the first one was born. So after the BodyTalk session, she got pregnant with that site that we had to repair. Second pregnancy, third pregnancy, fourth pregnancy. So second, third, fourth, every time she got pregnant, the gynae would scan, and the gynae would say, I don't understand why you would only ovulate. Your babies are only able to come in from that ovary and that tube. So the body is very intelligent. We don't know why it will not use the other one. But for whatever reason, and the body only wanted to use that tube. And that's why the priority for that session was to repair the tube, but not enhance the one that was already working.
Oh, wow. Sufen, I think you have so many successful stories and so many clients of yours. How does that keep you rooted or grounded? And you seem so relaxed.
I let go of this thing in BodyTalk is that there's no control. So I was late today. It's like, what can we do with the circumstances that we have? There is no control. So letting go of all control, all ability of trying to make sure things are perfect is one of the mottos I have in life. I also, adopt the BodyTalk philosophy of, everything is good and life is good. And so even the difficult circumstances that come to me, I look at it and I have a belief that it's there for a good reason. So I embrace life in that way whereby I then welcome a lot of good things in my life, such as yourself.
Thank you.
And this beautiful room. And that's how I ground myself. I adopt what I call kindness, love, compassion to people. But when I was in my corporate job and corporate life, I was always angry, I always stressed, always trying to control things, trying to make sure that my colleagues don't kill me. Because I was that kind of mother. I would make sure that everything is, it's
in a box. Yeah.
In the box. If it comes off the box, I go hysterical. Right. And when I'm angry, it's not 0 to 10, 0 to 100. It turns on like a Ferrari car. So look at my mannerisms and the way I talk. You already know that this is my characteristic. It is what we call fast. It is fast and furious. So when I go fast and furious, it is like World War 3, 4, 5, everything combined together. So this is me, but in the whole way of learning about the BodyTalk system and new philosophies of life and life and everything, it changed me in a way whereby, the shit still hits the fan, but I can look at it and I say, it's okay.
Yeah. I wish I get to learn that because I also, my anger is also from 0 to 100. It just doesn't stop at 50.
If you want movement and change in your life, you need anger. So anger has a qualification for why it's there in our lives. So if you want to drive a business, you want to drive a project, you need anger. Not because you want to shout at somebody, but you want to be able to say, I'm going to move, I'm going to change something, I'm going to use the anger emotion. Think about anger, it's strong.
Powerful.
It can move a mountain. So use that anger emotion, not to shout and scream or whatever, but think whenever you're angry. And that's why I do. And whenever I'm angry, I ask myself, what will make me feel better about it? What can I do? And then I go do it. I'm going to show you how we tap the brain.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you how we're going to balance the brain. Because the brain is the functionality that makes sure that health is good and also our emotions are balanced. So I'm going to show you how we do it and why we do it, and I'll tap it on you. So later I'll come over to your side and I will show you how we tap the cortices. And this technique is very good. So as parents or for children as well. Okay. When a child is crying, when a child is upset, parent as well, when we tap the brain, what we are doing is we are calming down the fight-flight responses and the stress factors in the brain, so that the higher brain thinking function, which is the prefrontal cortex, can start to turn on and look at the situation in a bigger picture. For example, if I was in a fight-flight response, or take it, no, I was late and your time is counting and you're in the fight-flight response, your amygdala fires and you're like, why is Sufen's not here? Da, 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 da. And you go into that stress response, every tension in your body will feel like it's seizing up. Yeah. And then the brain freezes. And then you go into anger, because anger is an emotion to create change in order for you to think differently. And what happens is when we tap the cortices while we are in that stress mode, it allows the brain to change its flow of energy and flow of movement and thinking from the amygdala, from the fight-flight responses to the prefrontal cortex, into looking at a wider way of looking at things, thinking and looking at the big picture. So calming the brain, calming the mind, and then calming the body. So children can be crying. You tap them, they will calm down.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you how this is done, but we will have to change the camera angles and you have to sit somewhere, because how it's done is we have to hold on to all areas of the head.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over and I'm going to show you how we do it. All I need you to do is breathe. And when we say breathing is very important. We have very shallow breathing. When we breathe, the brain scans every part of the body.
Right.
So when the breathing is shallow, it cannot scan all the frequencies in the body. So the high frequencies are like the blood, the nervous system, even all the way to the highest frequency, the chakras. So when we take deep breaths in all the way, as much as possible, we are able to get the brain to scan what's going on in the body on the higher frequencies, like the blood, nerve, lymphatic flow, the water in the body, the emotions, and the chakras. So all I need you to do is take very, very deep breaths in and out. When your out breath is deep as well, it will scan the lower frequencies like the bones. So when we tap this technique, we're getting the brain to scan every part of the body physically and energetically in order to balance everything. And what you feel after the tap out, if you have tension in the body or you have pain in the body, that pain goes away.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I would like you to kind of like scan your body, and maybe you can close your eyes, take a few deep breaths.
Okay.
Okay. And we're going to do a baseline check of how you feel. Just point out one prominent area of the body that you find, there is pain or tension.
Okay. While I breathe? Or?
Yeah, you can just breathe to relax and to bring the awareness to the area of the body. And where does it call out to you? You place your hand on that area. Your left eye, yeah?
Both eyes.
Both eyes, okay. Very good. So from 0 to 5, if you were to rate the tension or pain rating, okay, is it the same on both eyes or one more than the other?
It's one more than the other.
Okay. Left eye, if you were to rate 0 being painless and 5 being painful or tension, how would you rate the left eye?
3.
Okay. Right eye?
2.
Okay. So left eye 3, right eye 2. So that's the baseline check, yeah? All right, you can slowly open your eyes. Okay. So I'm going to come over and going to tap you, and after that we'll assess how you feel again. Okay. You're doing this for the first time. You qualify to the audience, the magic show starts. Yeah? Okay. So all I need for you to do is just take deep breaths in. Okay. So we're going to practice the breathing first. So as slow, as long, as deep as possible. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to start by holding on to your occipital brain, your brain stem, and going gently tap. And breathe. Very good. And your next inhalation, breathe even deeper. Very good. And we tap on the heart and on the abdomen. So the head brain, when we're tapping it, we are balancing the brain, getting it to change every part of the body, especially tension in the eyes. When you tap on the heart, we're getting the heart to store this new change. And then tap on the gut brain, integrate the change. So you're going into all different areas of the head, all the way up to the forehead. Doing very well. Hold. And I want you to breathe in and hold. Stop. And then a bit more. Very good. And then breathe out. Okay. So we call that exaggerated breathing in BodyTalk. So we are getting the extra to get in, scanning the higher frequencies and the emotions. Doing very well. And finally, we balance what we call the emotional brain, the amygdala. Okay, so continue to be in this state of mind. It's relaxing. And now I'd like you to bring attention to your eyes again. Okay, the left and the right eye. So let's rate the attention rating again on the left eye. How much is it?
0.
So on the right eye?
1.
Okay, very good. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
I have no words. I feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, you feel like you want to take a nap now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So what happens when we go into stress? We go hold a lot of tension and we don't realize what it feels like to be relaxed. So a relaxed state of mind in the body also feels like you just want to calm down. Yeah.
Right. Oh, this feels good.
Okay.
I actually want to take a nap. It was so good talking to you, Sufen. Thank you so much for being here. I would like to give you a small gift from my side.
Oh, thank you so much. I wasn't expecting it. Am I supposed to open it?
No.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for having me share BodyTalk.
No, it was so interesting to learn, and I think I'm surely going to take the course.